25 things you didn't know about studying in Australia. Australia has become a magnet for both immigrants and international students alike. In 2018, Australia universities and colleges enrolled over 800,000 students, making Australia the country with the highest international students per head of population in the world. There are, however, things you may not know about studying in the driest country on earth. So, in today's video, we share with you 25 things you probably did not know about studying in Australia. If you're new to this channel, you are welcome. Consider subscribing to After School Africa to continue exploring opportunities. 1. Australia is the third largest destination for international students. Each year, over 5 million students study abroad. Australia is the third largest destination just behind the US and the UK, receiving around 831,000 foreign students each year. Australia has, however, been forecasted to take over the UK in second place in 2019. 2. You need a student visa. If you're going to be staying in Australia for more than 3 months, which is likely the case, you will need to get a student visa. You will only be granted a student visa if you meet requirements such as Genuine Temporary Entrant (GTE), financial requirements, English proficiency requirements, and health and character requirements. The student's visa will cost you around 420 Australian dollars. 3. Flying to Australia will give you severe jet lag. The time difference between Australia and the rest of the world is immense, except you reside in a neighboring country. Australia, being at the easternmost part of the earth, experiences day and night quite differently from most places on earth. It may take you time to adjust to your new time zone, but you will in time. 4. Australia is big and dry. Australia is the 6th largest country in the world, making the cities very spacious. The roads are wide and buildings are built out, not up. It feels as though there are less people. It's also the driest place on earth, with a warm desert climate for most of the year. 5. Tuition fees in Australia are expensive. Australia is very popular with international students, but is also considerably expensive. Tuition fees per bachelor's degree in Australia usually cost an average of $22,700. For the master's degree, they would have to part with $14,400 on average. A doctoral degree in Australia would set you back by around $10,060 on average. 6. Work-study option is available and high-paying too. Remember that student visa that shrinked your bank account? Well, this is where it pays off. As an international student on a student visa, you're allowed to work for up to 20 hours per week while school is in session and full-time when school is on holiday. This could be a great way for you to make some money, seeing as you will be paid the minimum wage, which is quite high in Australia, $740 per week or $19.49 per hour. 7. Flexibility on when to start lectures. Like Australian students, you have the option to start university either in the first semester, which begins in March and ends in June, or the second semester, which begins July and ends in October. If you want to start in the first semester, your application must reach the university by December by the latest. 8. Most universities are clustered in the country's east. The bulk of Australia's universities are clustered around its eastern coast with a total of 21 institutions in Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, and other towns in Queensland and New South Wales. 9. Australia has some of the best universities in the world. 6 universities in Australia are ranked in the top 100 universities in the world. The best university in the country is the University of Melbourne, which ranks 32nd in the world. 10. Alcohol is expensive in Australia, except wine. If you are the beer or spirit type, you may have to change your liquor preference, except you're prepared to put your money where your mouth is. Literally, Australia imposes a lot of taxes on those items, making them one of the most expensive liquor varieties in the country. Wine is, however, cheap. 11. Acceptance rates are high. Australia has quite a high acceptance rate for admissions compared to other developed countries like the US and UK. Provided you meet the requirements for both your visa and admission and prove that you have the funds to foot your tuition, there is a high probability that you will be accepted to study in Australia. 12. Australia is brimming with wildlife. Australia has some of the most fascinating and diverse wildlife population in the world. Some of them are unique to Australia: kangaroos, Koalas and wallabies are some of Australia's iconic wildlife, unique to the arid continent. 13. There are scholarships to study in Australia. There are a number of fully and partially funded scholarships to choose from to study in Australia. Scholarships include Australia Awards, University of Sydney International Research Scholarship, Macquarie University International Scholarships, and Adelaide Scholarship International. 14. On-campus accommodation is much cheaper. Once you receive your admission offer and student visa, apply for accommodation as soon as possible. It will be cheaper for you if you get accommodation on campus, as you get to avoid feeding and utility bills. On-campus accommodation can cost between $80 Australian dollars to $250 Australian dollars per week, while off-campus accommodation can cost between 1,900 Australian dollars to 2,400 Australian dollars per month. 15. Cost of living is high. One disadvantage that comes with having a minimum wage is that businesses tend to hike the prices of their goods to meet up with workers' pay. Prices of basic food in Australia are high. A cup of coffee will cost you around 3.35 Australian dollars. A loaf of bread will cost you around 2.80 Australian dollars, and a liter of milk will set you back by around 2 Australian dollars. 16. Australia uses a different grading system. Australian institutions use letters to assess your schoolwork. They use HD for high distinction, which sets a scale of 83 to 100, and is also equivalent to a first class. D stands for distinction, with a scale of 73 to 82.99, equivalent to second class upper division. 17. Australia has a large immigration population. Australia is a very diverse country with a large immigrant population. In 2018, there were 7.3 million immigrants living in Australia. This made up 30% of the immigrant population born overseas. England continues to remain the largest group of overseas population born in Australia, where China coming a distant second. 18. Chinese students dominate Australia. International students from China make up the bulk of Australia's international students' nationality. China accounted for about 38.3% of foreign students in Australia in 2018. India came a distant second. 19. You can become a permanent resident after your graduation. Many international students choose to apply for permanent visa after they graduate. To do so, you must express interest through the Department of Immigration and Border Protection's Skill Select immigration program. Skill Select is an online service that allows applicants to be considered for a skilled visa. 20. Explore Australia. Australia is big and beautiful, with lots of places to visit. The Sydney Opera House is one of the most iconic buildings in the world, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The location is stunning with water surrounding the structure on 3 sides. The Great Barrier Reef, Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park, Sydney Harbour, amongst many others, are just some of the places you could visit during holidays. 21. Voting is compulsory in Australia. Citizens above 18 years of age are required under the law to vote in federal elections. Failure to do so without a valid and sufficient reason incurs a fine of 20 Australian dollars. But not to worry, international students aren't eligible to vote, so you are exempted. 22. Cricket is Australia's second religion. You probably love football, basketball, or tennis. If you're moving to Australia, get ready for another sport entirely, cricket. Australians are passionate about cricket. 23. Your student visa can be revoked. Your student visa could be revoked and you'd be deported if you flout any of the rules of your admission into the country. A common rule which most students break is the work hours per week. Students are not permitted to work more than 20 hours a week when school is in session. They can, however, work unlimited during the holidays. 24. Australia has different time zones. Australia has 3 time zones. They are known as the Western Standard Time, Central Standard Time, and Eastern Standard Time. 25. It is easy to make friends. It's easy to make friends in Australia because a larger number of the students themselves are foreigners just like you. This makes it easy to relate with one another. There you have it. You just learned the 25 things you probably did not know about studying in Australia. Which of them struck you the most? Tell us about it in the comment section below. If you're yet to subscribe to After School Africa channel, now is a good time to subscribe. Until next time, your success matters.